They say every scar tells a story. Mine tell an encyclopedia of mayhem. From the cybernetic socket where my left eye used to be, to the crackling plasteel limb replacing my right arm. I'm a walking testament to the brutality of 3 centuries spent kicking alien ass. They call me Hadrian Shaw, the unkillable human. To the allies of the Terra Firma Accord, I'm a legend. To my enemies, maybe a demon with a hard-on for plasma fire. I wasn't born a soldier. I grew up on some backwater colony, Proxima 2 or something like that. Mom was a geneticist, dad a freight pilot, boring stuff. When the recruiters shimmered into town, flashy uniforms and promises of galactic adventure, I signed up faster than you can say antimatter torpedo. Seems like more fun than hauling crates of cloned algae across the stars. I got my wish, all right. First taste of real action was the Shylarian uprising. Insect things, those Shylarians, all chitin and acidic spit. Lost half my squad in the first firefight. Got myself pinned down behind a wrecked hauler. Out of ammo, out of luck. And then something clicked. Pure battle-crazed instinct, I guess. Charged those Shylarians with my combat knife. Should have been bug paste in seconds. Instead, something in me shifted. Ducked under blaster fire, danced through their mandibles. When the smoke cleared, the ground was littered with twitching insectoid corpses. And me, standing tall, not a scratch on my peach fuzz face. Word spread quickly about the human berserker from Proxima 2. From then on, it was a blur of campaigns. Fought the hive mind of Krellig on their fungus worlds, blasted through the mechanized legions of the Sith Collective, even brawled with slaver pilots in the lawless nebula. Hadrian Shaw became the name whispered when the brass needed a miracle. Each battlefield left its mark, a missing eye, shrapnel fused to my ribs, burns that would make a demon wince. But through it all, I never went down for the count. Death seemed to just bounce off me. They started throwing the fancy tech my way. Prototype armor, experimental energy weapons, even offered me some highfalutin cybernetic enhancements. Most of it was glitchy, uncomfortable, but it gave me an edge. Turns out being unkillable is a hell of a lot scarier when you've got a railgun that can punch through a tank tucked under your arm. Fame, though, that was the real danger. Wasn't just the Silarians or the Sith who knew my name, but every general, politician, and corporate shill back on Earth in the colonies. They sent reporters to follow me around with their holo recorders, plastered my battered mug on patriotic posters, became some kind of symbol, a walking, talking propaganda piece for the war machine. Don't get me wrong, I love the thrill of the fight, the smell of the ozone, the roar of the crowd when you pull some insane stunt and survive. There's nothing quite like it. But when you're knee deep in enemy guts, it's easy to forget what you're fighting for. When the doubts crept in, nights spent staring at the shimmering stars of some godforsaken battlefield, feeling the ghost pains of missing limbs and lost comrades, I'd wonder, was this it? Was I destined to be nothing but a living weapon pointed at anything the higher-ups deemed a threat? Seemed like the galaxy was full of wars, each crueler than the last. How long till I broke? Till my luck ran out. Maybe death would have been a mercy, but the universe in its twisted humor wasn't about to grant me that. So I ran. Not in fear, but in desperate need to find something, anything that resembled meaning. Took some long-range mercenary job. Ended up on a backwater survey vessel charting the outer rim of known space. Routine stuff, they said. Yeah, right. Routine went to hell quicker than a void ship falling into the black hole. Unknown vessel, Xeno design like nothing on the Accord database. Slipped out of warp near our coordinates. Scans went wild. Energy readings spiking, some weird temporal distortion field rippling through the damn thing. Before we could hail them, they opened fire. The survey ship was no match for that firepower. Should have vaporized us in seconds. But something about that distortion field played merry hell with their targeting. Beams lanced past the ship, clipped the shields, but we were holding. I wasn't about to go down without a fight. Old habits die hard, I guess. Vacuum sealed up, grabbed the biggest damn plasma cannon I could find, and made my way out of the airlock. It was madness. Leaping between hunks of debris, dodging those blasts that warped the starlight as they passed. Found myself on their hull, magnetic boots barely keeping anchored against the ship's shuttering. Clamped the cannon to the hull, overrode the safeties, and let loose. A point-blank annihilation beam tore into the Xeno metal, burning straight through to whatever powered their abomination of a ship. Explosion rocked me back, threw me spinning into the infinite black. Tumbling, I watched the enemy ship fracture, crackle with impossible energies, then implode into a swirling ball of pure chaos. Rescue crews found me a day later, drifting amongst the wreckage. Barely a pulse, patching me up was a chore, but damned if I didn't pull through, as per usual. When I came to, they didn't have medals for me, just grim expressions. Turns out those Zenos were the vanguard of something big, something nasty. A whole damn empire out there in the dark, and they just tasted human blood for the first time. News of that skirmish spread like solar flares across the Accord. It wasn't a celebration, it was a prelude to panic. Turns out the galaxy wasn't so empty after all, and we were the squeaky toy that just caught the attention of some monstrous cosmic dog. The higher-ups crawled out of their gilded bunkers, begging the unkillable man to answer the call once more. It wasn't even a question. The thrill of battle was back in my veins, but this time, there was a razor's edge to the hunger. A desperation that matched the fear on everyone's faces. They strapped me into the best war machine they could cobble together, a gleaming behemoth crammed with experimental tech, barely held together with code, patches, and prayers. Officially, I was a fleet captain. Really? I was a one-man wrecking crew thrown at anything the enemy could muster. Blockades, invasion fleets, even a planet-cracker dreadnought that dwarfed our entire armada. Didn't matter what they threw at me. I smashed through it. Every victory, every ship saved meant more legends whispered, more weight piled on my shoulders. I became less human and more myth, and the myth didn't sleep, companionship, or anything resembling a damn life. Just the next battle, the next impossible odds stacked against me. It was on the moons of Calypso 5 that everything changed. We'd been pushed back, battered, and bloodied, dug in for the last stand against an overwhelming enemy force. The skies swarmed with their fighters. Their ground troops surged towards our trenches like a relentless tide. Fury ignited within me, as always. Yet looking at the faces of those soldiers around me, humans, aliens, all of them terrified kids beneath the bravado, something snapped. Wasn't rage I felt that day, but a bone-deep weariness. I was tired of being the unkillable pawn in their war games, tired of all the pointless bloodshed, of a universe teeming with conflict. Yet the enemy wouldn't stop coming. There was no choice in the end, was there? I charged, but this time it wasn't into the jaws of death. This time I ran straight at the enemy lines, not as a destroyer, but as a madman waving a white flag fashioned from a ripped-up med sheet. The blaster fire faltered. Screeches of confusion echoed on the enemy comm channels. I kept running, my armor flashing with emergency lights, my amplified voice booming a message I'd repeated in 100 languages across 100 battlefields. Hold your fire! I want to talk! Maybe I'd finally snapped completely. Maybe it was the smartest damn thing I'd ever done. Either way, the shooting stopped. From the enemy trenches emerged a figure sleek and sinuous, its biometallic form a stark contrast to my own hulking shape. A translator drone hovered nearby, crackling with garbled speech. Turns out, even the most implacable foe is curious when the unkillable human throws down his weapons. Talk is a funny thing, out there in the coldness of space. It turns out these new enemies, these Raziel, weren't the mindless conquerors we'd painted them to be. They fought for survival, same as us. Fear had driven them. Fear of humanity's relentless expansion, of our reputation as death incarnate. Didn't excuse their aggression, but it gave it context. I stood there, the scarred veteran facing a creature so alien it might as well have been from another dimension, and we negotiated. An uneasy truce at first, then a prisoner exchange, tentative trade agreements. It was a flicker of hope amid a galaxy consumed by war. In the end, they still called me the unkillable human, but the name carried a different weight now. Not just a testament to my insane durability, but a symbol of defiance against the endless cycle of violence. Maybe, just maybe, there was a path forward that didn't involve tearing each other to shreds. Peace with the Raziel wasn't the end, just a sliver of breathing room in a galaxy still teeming with threats. The Accord, bolstered by that unlikely success, threw me back into the fray, cleaning up lingering war bands, negotiating with unstable star nations, the messy, unglamorous work of maintaining a fragile stability. They gave me a shiny desk job on Earth, offered to make me the poster boy for some grand new era of galactic diplomacy. A damn lie, wrapped in bureaucracy and patriotic speeches. All they wanted was to keep me leashed. to control the indomitable legend. I walked away, quietly in the dead of night. They're still scratching their heads about it, I bet. The unkillable human, vanishing without a trace. I left the medals, the titles, all of it, in a pile on my abandoned desk. The scars and the cybernetics, well, those I couldn't leave behind. Reminders permanently etched into my flesh. Took on odd jobs, drifted from planet to colonies, freighter escort, asteroid miner, even a stint as a bouncer in a pleasure dome on some neon soaked space station. Each gig brought its own brushes with danger, of course. Old habits and a reputation like mine make for a, let's call it, colorful life. Then there was the Andromeda Station. Outer Rim territory, lawless and buzzing with every kind of scum the galaxy had to offer. Word reached me of slavers operating in the region, preying on refugees fleeing the latest war zone. Something in me, the part they never managed to sand down, couldn't stomach ignoring it. Infiltrated the slavers' compound in the guise of a mercenary, my chipped armor painted in their gang colors. Took them apart from the inside, a one-man wrecking ball fueled by a cold, precise rage. Freed the captives, sending their operation crumbling to dust. News travels fast on the outer rim. Turns out the families of those I'd freed were connected, part of some long exiled clan from an ancient star empire. Their gratitude was excessive, bowing and scraping, offering me titles I couldn't pronounce, gifts of enough precious metals to sink a cruiser. Their plea was simple: stay with them, teach their warriors, protect their people. They'd seen the galaxy's darkness, same as I had. Craved the stability, the safety that a figure like me, flawed as hell, broken in more ways than one, but still standing, could provide. It wasn't the life I'd envisioned, settling down, playing the elder statesman, yet something about their offer resonated. The chance to be more than just a weapon, more than a myth, to use all this blood-soaked experience to build something instead of tearing it down. And so, Hadrian Shaw, the unkillable human, found a home among the scattered remnants of a forgotten people. My old bones ache more these days, and the echoes of past battles still haunt my nights. But the training ground rings with the clash of blades, with the determined shouts of young warriors eager to learn from the scarred veteran. Sometimes, under the swirling nebulous skies, I swear I hear phantom cheers, the roar of crowds hungry for a spectacle that'll never come again. Then a child tugs at my sleeve, some question about combat drills, and the ghosts fade. Is this peace? Not the kind the politicians peddle, but a sliver of it, hard fought and precious. I'm still scarred, still haunted, and the galaxy's a damn mess. But somewhere amidst the chaos, in a forgotten corner of creation, maybe an old soldier finally found his purpose. Maybe this broken, unkillable human is finally learning how to live. Life has a funny way of throwing you curveballs, even on the far edge of known space. Turns out the universe wasn't done testing Hadrian Shaw just quite yet. A ghost ship drifted into orbit. Ancient design, markings of an extinct civilization. Should have been an archaeologist's dream, a relic teeming with lost history. Instead, it brought death upon its cold, metallic wings. The things that crawled from the ship, I'd seen horrors in my centuries, but this was different. Not flesh and blood, not robotic constructs. They were shadows given shape, slithering tendrils of darkness that ripped through flesh and steel alike. The brave young warriors I'd trained, torn apart, their screams echoing through the station's corridors. In that first terrible onslaught, I lost nearly everything I'd built. My newfound family shattered. Panic gripped the station like a suffocating shroud. It seemed like a twisted echo of all my worst battle memories. Fury and despair warred within me, threatening to consume whatever remained of my battered soul. Yet, as those tendrils whipped towards me, something cold and unwavering ignited within. Not the berserker's rage of my youth, but the honed resolve of a warrior tempered by countless trials. They may have shattered my peace, but they wouldn't break my spirit. My cybernetic arm hummed as I reconfigured it into the most destructive setting. Ancient weapons, long dormant, stirred within the station's hidden vaults. The fight wouldn't be some glorious charge like in the old days. It was going to be a desperate, brutal crawl through darkness, hunting the hunters. And hunt them I did. Every inch of that station became my battlefield. Traps hastily rigged from salvaged tech, ambushes laid in the flickering light. I became a ghost myself, striking from unexpected angles, exploiting the shadows as ruthlessly as they did. The unkillable human wasn't some indomitable force this time. He was cunning, adaptable. He was a survivor. For days, the fight raged in the echoing chambers of Andromeda Station. The scent of ozone and scorched metal clung to the air, a grim testament to the relentless battle. Each shadow creature I destroyed left a stain of viscous darkness on the floor, a small victory in the face of overwhelming odds. My body was pushed past its breaking point. Old wounds throbbed in time with the pounding in my skull. Sleep was a luxury I couldn't afford, replaced by stim injections and the grim determination that kept me moving, kept me fighting back. Then, as I crested a shattered gantry, I saw it, the heart of the infestation. Not a beast, but a glowing core of pulsating energy nestled within the warped machinery of the ancient ghost ship. The shadows seemed to flow from it, an endless tide born from this unnatural source. In that moment, there was no room for grand strategy or clever tactics, just the raw instinct of a warrior cornered. I charged, my battered war cry tearing through the silent station. The shadow creatures swarmed around me, tendrils slicing, but I was a whirlwind of fury and desperation. My plasma cannon roared, blasting a path through the inky forms. I reached the core, the hum of malevolent power filling my ears. With a final, desperate surge, I rammed the barrel of my weapon into the glowing sphere. The energy feedback was blinding, agony coursing through augmented nerves and overloading cybernetics. Then, a crackle, a surge, and the core imploded, throwing me back in a wave of searing light. Silence descended, broken only by my ragged breaths. The shadows had vanished, dissipated into wisps of fading darkness. The station was a graveyard, but the tide of the unnatural had ebbed. Exhausted, broken, I slumped against a bulkhead, the taste of copper in my mouth. I'd survived. Again. The aftermath was chaotic. Salvage teams, scientists, and a whole contingent of Accord officials flooded Andromeda Station, eager to pick apart the wreckage and exploit any knowledge gained in our desperate fight for survival. They looked to me for answers, for explanations of how I'd single-handedly staved off an invasion. I had none to give, just the lingering chill of those shadows, a haunting reminder that the galaxy was vast and unknowable, and that even the unkillable human couldn't face every storm alone. The Accord offered me their finest medical treatment, a chance to replace my ravaged flesh with pristine bioimplants, to smooth out the scars and erase the weariness of 1,000 battles. I turned them down. These scars, this battered body, they were the only proof left that I'd fought, that I'd endured. Instead, I took what meager payment they offered, patched up my old ship, and vanished back into the depths of space. Andromeda Station had become a symbol, a beacon of defiance, but my place wasn't among the dignitaries and researchers buzzing around it. My purpose lay elsewhere, out in the endless black, on the fringes where order frayed and danger lurked. The galaxy was still a chaotic mess, simmering with unseen threats and teeming with those needing protection. There would always be battles to fight, wrongs to right. Hadrian Shaw, the man who couldn't die? I learned that true strength wasn't found in endless bloodshed. It lay in carrying the weight of a scarred past and forging onward, fueled by the unyielding will to make something better amidst the chaos. I was a warrior still, but also something more. Maybe this unkillable human, amidst the fading echoes of his own legend, had finally found his way to be a true hero. And the galaxy, vast and unforgiving as ever, provided the endless battlefield to prove it.